There are several differences between adult and juvenile justice systems. The juvenile justice systems are restorative and focus on rehabilitation.
In 1992, the Annie E. Casey Foundation launched the Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative, or JDAI, as a response to the over-reliance on unnecessary and inappropriate detention of youth nationwide.
The JDAI initiative is a product of the Annie E. Casey Foundation and commenced in 1992. And it's based on some values that children who come into the juvenile justice system can be more successful if we treat them in a way that highlights their successes as opposed to their failure. The core strategies here are the two things we are looking for are public safety and better outcomes for youth.
MJJA asked several circuits within Missouri if they would be interested in working with that program. Ultimately, in 2005, we had 4 circuits that said yes, and that was Jackson County, Kansas City, Springfield, Greene County, St. Louis County, and the city of St. Louis.
This is what JDAI looks like today. The last state to come aboard, Georgia. Jim's working in Georgia right now, bringing them aboard. 1 in 4 youth live in a community that participates in JDAI.
As part of the approach, we gather all of the significant players, and that includes community people, in a collaborative effort within the county or the state to examine how, through data, how we are doing with our kids, where the soft spots are in the system that may be counterproductive, and find methodologies to change those programs and policies so that we do provide public safety and we do have better outcomes for our children.
The initiative uses a model rooted in 8 core strategies, which include collaboration between major juvenile justice agencies, government entities, and community organizations, use of accurate data to diagnose the system's problems and identify real solutions, objective admissions criteria and instruments to replace subjective decisions that inappropriately place children in custody, alternatives to detention to increase the options available for arrested youth, case processing reforms to speed up the flow of cases so that youth don't languish in detention, reducing the use for secure confinement for special cases like technical probation violations, deliberate commitment to reducing racial disparities by eliminating biases and ensuring a level playing field, improving conditions of confinement through routine inspections.
A lot of it was looking at low-hanging fruit. What could we do to first address kids in detention? So the state statute allows us to detain based upon public safety, failure to appear, and protection of the child. We started addressing all of the 8 core strategies in a 3-year cycle. At the end of the 3 years, we started looking at the data. And the data was showing that in some of the circuits, they were decreasing their detention population by 50% or more. We were finding that the numbers of referrals and filings of petitions and overall crime for juvenile had also decreased. And over the course of this last 10 years or so, we've actually decreased around 20,000 referrals statewide.
This initiative, which a lot of people were a little leery of, protected the community. And that's where a lot of people were concerned about community safety. The good thing about having all of these states involved, is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
The Juvenile Justice Advisory Group stated that yes, this is a proven program. It's something that's desperately needed in Missouri, along with addressing gender and disproportionate contact of youth, that this could help with both, as well as look at our kids in detention. And so funding was provided for the coordinator at that point. So different changes of funding allowed us to continue the replication of the programming. So now we're replicating as a state, not just necessarily individual sites, although we want to continue to address where kids are detained. And so all of our detention circuits are addressed first, but we do have a couple of circuits, Cape Girardeau and Joplin, as 2 sites that do not have a detention facility. And we're replicating JDAI there to determine if it's something that is practical for everywhere in the state.
Missouri has become one of the best models in the country for state expansion of JDI philosophy.
We do have other states that have come here to Missouri, Iowa, Kansas, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, New Jersey, Illinois, have all come to Missouri to actually look and see what we're doing here and how does it work, because it does seem to be working and having a positive effect within juvenile justice.
One of the reasons it has been so successful has been the buy-in from the various stakeholders along the way. In particular, from law enforcement, I think it's important that law enforcement take a key role in this because you are the first line on the streets, working with kids, working with our citizens, and you should understand as much about this as you possibly can to not only explain it to your constituency that you work with, but to understand the process and why we are doing what we're doing to achieve the goals we're looking for.
These strategies have been proven to reduce unnecessary and inappropriate secure detention, reduce costs, increase system fairness, and improve the juvenile justice system overall without compromising public safety. The Juvenile Detention Assessment is one tool developed to assist not only JDAI sites, but all Missouri courts due to the implementation of Court Operating Rule 28 on January 1, 2012. It provides objective criteria for evaluating the need to securely detain youth due to risk to public safety or failure to appear in court. Using this tool, the juvenile office is able to make an objective conclusion as to whether or not the juvenile should be released to a parent, a guardian, or another suitable adult, participate in an alternative to detention, or be detained at a detention facility. Examples of alternatives to detention include a conditional release, evening reporting center, GPS and electronic monitoring, shelter care. With the growth of JDAI sites and tools, Missouri has seen a decrease in several areas related to youth detention.
You may be asking yourself, what about recidivism? Are these kids getting off easy with a decrease in detention?
Not at all. In 2015, 4.7% of juvenile offenders failed to appear for court. That's less than 2005. And as for the recidivism, since Missouri's replication of JDAI, the recidivism rate for juvenile offenders has dropped to 16%. JDAI is a process, not a conventional program, but it's a process that is headed in the right direction.